Good morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, March 28th. Inflation reading is on watch as tariff talks remain in focus. Markets declined yesterday as Trump tariff talks continued to dominate overall sentiment, even though the latest GDP number came in as expected. During regular trading, the Dow dropped 155 points or 0.37%. The S&P 500 gave up 18 points or 0.33%. The Nasdaq closed off by 94 points or about 0.5%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're down 0.13%. Not significant, flat to lower. We got that key inflation report this morning. We have the PCE report that's going to be released 1 hour before the opening bell. I'm not expecting to be any huge, data in there, but it could be a market mover. Sentiment still remains cautious, ahead of Trump's tariff announcement next week. This is, market's looking for clarity. It wants clarity. It wants to know what it's dealing with. And, the hype of it going into it is a little bit concerning. And those auto tariffs that he put on, I mean, they're really strong. I wouldn't be surprised if he reduces them a little bit sometime in the near future. But right now it's causing a lot of negative sentiment. What else do we have happening today? CoreWeave, CRWV, Charlie, Richard, William, Victor. That their IPO starts trading today. It's priced at $40. That's lower than what the street was thinking. So it could move up to 47 without much of an issue. Elon Musk last night, in an interview, said that his work at DOGE is almost done. That could be positive for Tesla. Lululemon, they delivered positive earnings last night, yet the stock is trading lower. Guidance, always an issue. Now we're turning our attention and we're turning over to Europe for a second. We got the DAX down 109 points. That's 0.48%. Sentiment remains cautious over the tariff concerns and possible global trade war. But the FTSE, on the other hand, is trading higher. I mean, it's up 12 points, 12.90 points, 0.15%. Their UK sales unexpectedly rose 1% in February. I mean, expectations were for a decline of 0.4%. So that's kind of a shot in the arm for the FTSE this morning. The CAC in Paris down 0.47%. Weakness, autos, financials, tech stocks in France. Last night in Asia, we did see, lower action. I mean, the Nikkei fell 679 points. That's 1.8%. With continued weakness in autos and financials. Hong Kong fell 152 points at 0.65%. Weakness in pharma and property stocks. China, Shanghai finished lower by 0.67%. Now, the sentiment in China remains subdued due to the lingering uncertainties and perceived lack of aggressive policy support. And, of course, the escalating trade tensions with the U.S. Then we'll turn our attention to oil for a second, and oil is flat to higher right now. It was a little lower, but you got a mix of supply side tailwinds and geopolitical risks, and delicate balance going on. We had the bullish inventory draws this week, but the bearish demand threats versus coming out with the economic data. So it's really flat to higher this morning. We'll see if they're able to hold these gains and finish out the week with in green territory. But next week could be a different story because on Tuesday the OPEC's going to be start increasing their production volume. So we've got to keep an eye on that. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
And Bill, you did, mention that PCE report. We're going to be getting to economic events in just a moment. But before we get there, you at least gave us a preview of some of the earnings worth watching. So give us a rundown of what is going on in terms of earnings action.
Starting off with Lululemon, ticker LULU, Larry Uncle. They delivered a beat, 27 cents. They did it on higher revenue. Stocks trading lower this morning, down 10.84%. Which was essentially the straddle price that I had in there. Yeah, it's weak. It's that guidance was, it's they can't give good guidance when they don't know what the tariff situation is going to be. So I'm not surprised. Upcoming on Monday afternoon, we got Progressive Software. EPS is $1.04. Expected move is 8.97%. Then we also have PVH, ticker PVH. Their EPS is $3.19. Expected move is 13.82% when they release Monday afternoon. But that's what I have for you in terms of earnings. A little light these days, Emily.
Where it is not light is the economic data front. We've been putting the pieces of this puzzle together, throughout the last couple weeks, trying to manage the health of the economy with the latest talks from Trump about tariffs and fears of trade war, fears of recession. So watching these numbers is key. And we got, important data yesterday, and today we have a read on inflation, the Fed's preferred read on inflation. So Bill, give us a rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get the PCE report. 10 a.m., we get the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. And then at 1 p.m., we get Baker Hughes rig count. 12:15 p.m., we're going to be hearing from Fed Governor Michael Barr. And then at 3:45 p.m., Atlanta Fed Bank President Raphael Bostic is scheduled to speak. The PCE data, it's expected to show a monthly increase of 0.3% in February, matching the January reading. But the year-over-year core PCE percent is expected to rise to 2.7 for February, slightly higher than the 2.6 observed in January. So that's going to be the key one. People are really going to be focused on that PCE report today. The consumer sentiment report, University of Michigan is going to come in sluggish. That's really expected, but it has been sluggish for the last few readings, so I don't expect that to turn. I think it stays, sluggish. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic update, Emily.
And you'll be focusing on those numbers, but you're still focusing on other types of news, information, and data. This morning, you're watching your NewsWare to follow things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You're also grouping your stocks together, like your Dow stocks and your FANG stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
Well, just I'm doing a quick data check. I got 15 lower, 14 higher, and one unchanged in the Dow. I'm looking at my FANG stocks, and we're seeing some positive action in Netflix and Tesla. Everything else is slightly lower. Um, but you look for some of the news behind the tape. It's a light news day in the FANG stocks. I mean, the EU is set to impose minimal fines on Apple and Meta under their DMA law, Digital Services Act. So that's a fine is still a fine, but it is kind of positive that they're going to go in the low end. Um, Tesla, hey, stocks moving higher. It really is the winner in Trump's auto tariffs because they produce their vehicles in the U.S. That they sell in the U.S. So they don't do that carry overseas. So that is actually positive for Tesla. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we're talking Amazon, MGM Studios chief Jennifer Salke. She's said to be departing. NVIDIA, NVDA. Remember, they're a big backer of CoreWeave. CRWV, and that's going to go IPO today, so that could boost Nvidia's price this morning. They hold, the stock's going to open up at 40 and on 37.5 million shares. Is that right? Interesting. I think that's light. In terms of merger news, we got to talk ticker X's and U.S. Steel. That takeover talk with Nippon Steel. It could be salvaged. There's a new deal on the table, I see. So we'll see if this deal takes place. In terms of guidance news, we're talking Lululemon. They see Q1 EPS coming in $2.53 to $2.58. The street estimate added at $2.70. That's the reason the stock is selling off. BRZE Braze, they see full year 2026 EPS revenue coming in 31 cents to 35 cents. Street estimate is 29 cents. That's an uptick. In terms of shareholders meeting, I want to point out AIG is having an Investors Day on Monday. Put activity was very high yesterday, but Monday Investors Day could get some clarity there for the stock, and that's what I have for you in terms of market movie news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, we are nearing the end of the month, nearing the end of the quarter, and we're at the end of the week. What is your pick of the day today?
Going to go with Robinhood, ticker HOOD, Henry, Oscar, David. I mean, they had they had a big meeting this week and they had a lot of positive announcements. Stocks started to sell off yesterday. It's still trading a little lower this morning, but I think it's going to turn. You look at yesterday's call volume, 216,000 calls versus 82,000 puts. That's like 2.6. I mean, that's very strong. The major brokers have been raising price targets. They do like the stock. But, for me to get into the stock, I got to get in around 43.40 is kind of my entry area. I give or take 10 cents, but that's my pick of the day. Robinhood, ticker HOOD.
Robinhood, it is today. Bill will follow that along with you, looking for that specific entry price. And yesterday you had a specific entry price on your pick of the day. And coming up, we will do a recap on that one before we sign off. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
AZO tariffs positive for U.S. According to Mizuho, and they're highlighting AutoZone. Apple Oven, ticker APP. They retained Quinn Emanuel firm to investigate the recent short report activity. Ferrari, that's ticker RACE, RACE. They're going to be increasing prices by 10% on some models due to the tariffs. Cava, CAVA, remember, they're being added to the S&P 400 on Monday. EU regulators reject Lilly's Alzheimer's drug, saying risks of serious brain swelling did not outweigh the treatment's small impact on slowing cognitive decline. China's President Xi met with a bunch of CEOs the other day. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off, get to trading on this Friday. Let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Steelcase. Now, they had a positive earnings report and, some good guidance. You were hoping to get in this one around 11:10 and get a gain from there. Bill, how did your call work out?
Hey, you know what? It worked out. Any way you look at it, it was a winner. You look at Steelcase on yesterday. The stock opened up at $11.12 and then fell to 11.07. Then it popped and it hit 11.40. I mean, there's your 1%. Actually, that's more like 3%. On the day, it actually hit a high of $11.70. Closed out at 11.30. Look at it this morning. It's at 11.35. So if you got it at the opening price or if you got it at my entry price, either way, you made money. Steelcase, SCS, Charlie Sam was a winner on yesterday, Emily.
Nice win there, Bill. And we will check in with you on Monday about today's Robinhood pick of the day, and we'll see how March ends up. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.